This is Fox 43 News at 10.
The stakes get higher every year, but is enough being done to protect horses competing for larger and larger purses at racetracks all across the country? Good evening. In November, a federal grand jury indicted 4 people at Penn National Racecourse in Dauphin County.
They're accused of improperly doping horses and giving bettors inaccurate information. Since then, Fox 43 has been digging into the drug culture in horse racing. Fox 43's Michael Hyland talked with a variety of people in the industry and lawmakers. And Michael, many of them say that this problem is much more pervasive than people even realize.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point that some lifelong owners, people who followed the rules, fear there won't be a racing industry in 20 years because people are destroying it. They feel like things can change, but it won't be easy. It's known as the sport of kings. For 2 minutes, it's a high adrenaline, high stakes sprint to the finish line. But it's what happens before the starting gate opens that has raised questions not just about the fairness of the races, but the safety of the horses and their jockeys. Did you believe you were helping the horse in that situation? In November, a federal grand jury indicted 4 people at Penn National Racecourse. They accused 3 trainers of doping horses and a track employee of lying about how the horses performed in workouts. All said they're not guilty and are awaiting trial. Penn National banned them from the track. A spokesman called them a few bad apples. But many industry insiders Fox 43 talked with say the case highlights a much bigger problem.
His name is Ghost Pines.
Gretchen Jackson is a well-known horse owner who's been involved in racing for decades.
And it is all Barbaro!
She owned Barbaro, who won the Kentucky Derby in 2006.
Barbaro! I believe he's being pulled up!
Only to shatter his leg during the Preakness 2 weeks later. He never recovered and was put down after several months.
Look at him, he likes you.
Since then, she's become an advocate for safety and integrity in horse racing.
What's life if it's all phony?
Since the early 90s, the average purse per race in Pennsylvania has quadrupled to over $28,000, propped up by casino gaming.
People are paying huge amount of money for horses, and it becomes pressure, and they've spent too much.
Jackson says regulators are struggling to keep up, as some trainers find new ways to give their horses the winning edge. The New York Times analyzed 3 years of data and found on average 24 horses die every week at tracks across the country.
I've heard everything from aspirins to Viagra, frog juice, venom.
That's cobra venom. Bettors know what's going on. A recent survey by the Jockey Club found nearly 8 in 10 committed bettors consider illegal drug use when they bet at certain tracks.
And they'll say things like, I'm not betting on that horse because his trainer is a druggie, or they'll say, I'm betting on it because the trainer has the right juice.
The overuse and abuse of medication is rampant at our thoroughbred racetracks and training centers.
This is video of Dr. Kate Papp, a veterinarian based at Penn National, testifying before a congressional committee in 2012.
It is not uncommon for me to see on race day a practitioner enter a stall in one of the private barns or the detention barn with 3 to 10 syringes full of medication to administer and not be questioned by anyone.
So where's the oversight? Pennsylvania has 2 commissions that oversee horse racing. They're both part of the Department of Agriculture. But this year they nearly ran out of money because the laws that determine their funding haven't been updated in about 30 years.
The ag budget's been cut the last several years and the funding comes out of the ag budget, so they just literally actually got to the point where they couldn't rob Peter to pay Paul anymore.
State Senator Elder Vogel chairs the Agriculture Committee and is trying to reform the industry, which supports about 20,000 jobs statewide. He wants to scrap the 2 commissions entirely and give the state's Gaming Control Board oversight instead.
It's the #1 issue, basically. I mean, because you have no integrity, you have nothing. If we start losing, that, you start losing jobs too. We don't want to have that happen either.
He wants to increase penalties and fees and have owners pay for drug testing instead of the Department of Agriculture. According to the Racing Medication and Testing Consortium, every month at least 1 trainer in PA is penalized for improper drug use. But Jackson says the fines and suspensions are too lax.
They're not really tough punishments. They're not tough enough.
She wants to see meaningful changes in this industry she loves. Otherwise, she fears it and more horses won't survive.
It won't last 20 years. It really won't. People can't go on like this.
We've been trying for several weeks to obtain documents from the Department of Agriculture to see how well the rules are being enforced on a case-by-case basis. We just got those documents today, about 400 pages we're going through, and we're going to sit down with the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Agriculture to talk about this issue this week. But first, new tomorrow night, one of our local congressmen is trying to get a zero-tolerance policy on race day drugs and medications. So he's going to explain why he calls the industry an embarrassment around the world and what he plans to do about it.